What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and I'd like to welcome you to the first Strife for Dummies tutorial. So basically right here, our champion of the day is going to be Shank. He's a melee hero with a strong initiation and a hook, which is pretty much exactly what he is, 100%. So I've actually played a lot of this champion, probably like 20 or so games. I'm trying to play 20 or so games of every single champion before I give you a full tutorial on them, so I know how they kind of play and I know how their abilities work out. Um, the one thing I've noticed with this guy is his tankiness is kind of just there from the get-go. You don't really have to build specifically into the tankiness. His abilities all kind of work together really well. I'm just going to explain them really quickly. After this, we'll cut to some video of me actually using them so you can see how they're used. But the basic his basic abilities are all really close range besides his ultimate, so don't really expect to be able to harass in lane or anything like that. You're really not going to be able to at all. This guy really excels though in just surviving the team fight and actually getaways, chasing, and he's incredibly good at initiating if you land that hook. If you land that hook and you catch one person off guard, I mean, you have a huge advantage right there, right out of the gate, and there's not much a lot of squishy range characters can actually do about it. They simply just die. So we're going to look at his first ability, Ground Pound. So you activate to smash the ground below you, dealing a certain amount of base magic damage and applying a slow. I wish, the only thing I think would be better on this guy is if they had done something like a stun with that maybe. I think a stun would have been an excellent option for this. Maybe even just a really, really strong slow. I feel like he's weak in terms of the other tanks. I feel like Bastion and a lot of other tanks kind of just out CC him due to him only having one real CC ability, and it's just a hook. So his second ability is Jailbreak. Target direction to grant allies a burst of movement speed and apply a tapering slow, right? Pretty, I mean, that's pretty obvious what it does. Sadly, I feel like the cooldown is incredibly long for this ability. And I don't think I'm the only person that believes that, but honestly, I feel like the cooldown on this ability is just insane. It's way too long. It's for what it does, which is honestly not even that great. The cooldown is just nuts. Frenzy. This is what I max first, actually. There's a lot of people that max ground pound first, and honestly, I can see you doing that. But I think Frenzy just allows you to live in lane. Like, Frenzy gives you that actual lane sustained chance. Basically, it just passively causes you to gain attack speed, and you gain magic armor and armor, right? Which are all really good. Like, all those buffs are really good. The buff itself actually lasts 4 seconds, and you can stack it 3 times. You have to attack to stack all 3, and I'll show you that in a minute. Basically, I think this is the only reason he can survive in lane. Once you get those 3 stacks early, like level 1, level 2, honestly, I don't think you really die. It's pretty hard to kill you. You can really run away. Honestly, you can run away. While you're running away, auto-attack people, get that armor stack going. Like, it'll save you. Maybe you escape with 1 health point or something like that just because you got that armor. His last ability. Obviously, this is why I love this guy, is his manacle, right? Which is, it's basically just a hook that grabs someone and it pulls them to your target location, right? During this, you can use any ability, any other ability while you're hooking them. So let's say you were using Bounder, for instance, or you have Rocket Boots. By the way, these guys are all going to be assuming that you've already played Strife before and you actually know a little bit about the game, maybe build-wise or even item and pet-wise. The manacle just allows you to pull them to you, so you can actually Bounder and then possibly Rocket Boot, and you can kind of pull them a crazy distance away, and they can't really do much about it, right? Because they've traveled a significant distance in less than a second, and now they're completely surrounded by your team. So that's what I mean by he has an excellent initiation, and this is actually on a relatively low cooldown. You could even get the Wizard's Hourglass and have it on an even shorter cooldown. Honestly, it's a possible build idea that would work for you. So that's basically what I have as a build right now. We'll talk about items and ability order right now. So like I said, I like to go Frenzy first. By the way, guys, I play a lot of League and a lot of other MOBAs, which I'm going to be presenting videos of those as well on this channel. But my main thing that I really enjoy is this whole like auto level up ability. I honestly think that it's just good. It's like honestly, you're how many times do you really go a different ability in Strife? It's very rare. Most of the time level 1 fights don't happen, so you rarely change what your build is going to be. So what I would honestly say is just go with your gut, and whatever you think is best in lane, go with that. So I actually set up my abilities to auto level. Um, my core items here, obviously rocket boots. I actually rush rocket boots just because if you get those couple of like hooks early games, sometimes you can just steamroll the game and end it right there. Um, Early build into Elderstone. I actually have an upgraded Elderstone of Heritage. I honestly, I've never not fully stacked it, so it's really good. Upgraded, let's see. Obviously, and really you can build this guy in so many different ways. I build him really tanky. I go into Inferno brand, which I have upgraded to. I can't really remember exactly what I have it upgraded into. But if you look at this build, it's pretty tanky, and it has some pretty heavy damage. But it's not a very stereotypical build for this guy. Most people actually build Iceforge Plate or something like, actually a lot of people build attack speed on him. They'll go with like Zealot's Blade or something like that. I'm not a huge fan of Zealot's Blade on this guy. I've tried it like 4 or 5 times, and I've never found it to actually work that great. You honestly could go Thundercaller. I've seen people do that. It works pretty effectively. Also, jungle Shank is actually a thing. You can make it work. You can jungle with him. I'll be showing a bunch of jungling videos. Obviously the channel's name is Jungle Camp, and I'm very big into jungling. And pretty much any MOBA I've loved. The first thing I did when I got this game was I tried Hail jungling. That was the first thing I did, honestly. To be 100% honest with all of you, that's what I did. I went played Hail and was like, oh my god, this guy can jungle. Tried it. I'm not going to say it's the most effective thing, but if you actually do what the purpose of that would be, which is to get level 1 Baldirs, well, not level 1 Baldirs, but like early Baldirs for your team, and if you keep that going and you just keep getting small advantages for your team, honestly, Jungle Hail can work. And I'll be showing a video of that, like that. It's a very comprehensive build that I've gotten into with that, and I've played a lot of Hail trying to, kind of master the Jungle Hail, so I'll be showing you guys that. I know of a few tricks with Shank that I can show you guys. Honestly, I'm going to show you gameplay footage of what you should be doing early game. Late game, I think it really comes down to just landing the hooks, guys. That's all it really comes down to. If you don't land a hook, obviously you're not going to win a team fight. He's very simple. There's nothing really too complicated with him. Obviously, this is a very generalized build of how you can build him. You can build him however you want. Personally, I just like this build. Honestly, you could replace this, right? Replace that and put Frost Prism there. That's not a bad idea for the slow. Situational luxury items, you can really build anything. This guy's pretty unique in the way that he actually fits this role. So we'll discard the build changes. But like I said, you can play him anything. If you're going to play him jungle, obviously you have to go Luster. It's the only way it works. You actually don't do that much damage, so Vampiric Dagger is actually pretty important in this. But I guess I'm going to stop right there, and I'm going to take it to some gameplay. Alright, here we go, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the abilities really quickly. Not explain too much about them, but here's a ground pound. Just click, and there we go. That's it. You can see the slows applied. It doesn't do a lot of damage, like I said before. This is the speed boost, right? So it gives you a significant speed boost, and also it slowly decays from them, but it gives them a very significant slow. Here's the passive, which I'll let you guys read really quickly on the screen, and then I'll start stacking it actually. So as you can see, you have the little wood right here. That's your actual stacks towards the attack speed and the armor buff, and it decays slowly. Alright, and now we're going to go ahead and move on to the ultimate. Right. As you can see on the actual screen, it has a very large range, pretty large, honestly, for a hook, and it pulls them to your target location no matter where you are, in a bush, around the corner, over a wall. So we'll go ahead and pull them to a bush, or over the wall, sorry, and there you go. Alright guys, so here we go. As I promised, here's gonna be some early game gameplay of sorts. I just wanted to show you guys how he kind of works in the early game. I feel like with this champion, most people that I've seen play main successfully has been in the early game. It's not in the later game. People land their hooks, they do everything right. They just lose in the early game. They get killed too many times, too many things happen. They don't get any farm. I just wanted to show you guys as a community, I wanted to show you guys how you guys should play this guy, how he should be played out in the beginning, and basically what you do, because I feel like not a lot of people understand his lane role, right? His lane role is not to be a bully in lane. Actually, the funniest part about this matchup was that it was a Harrower and a Moxie versus me, which is not a great lane. I had a Rook, so I wasn't too worried about it. Rook is fabulous at solo laning, but he's also fabulous at doing lane in a dual lane. So I wasn't too worried, like I said. The only thing I really was worried about was the Harrower getting out of control. I think this game actually went really late. The other lanes get a couple of kills, but this game went for a while, if I remember correctly. It was a really hard game actually, just because their team comp was a little bit more ranged and a little bit better at controlling our team. But in the end, I landed some pretty good hooks, which I'm sorry I didn't get recorded. We actually end up winning it in the end. I think I land a hook on Moxie, and that's how it kind of ends. I pull the Moxie in, and he just gets bursted, which is pretty much the role of Shank. You grab someone, you burst them, and then you win the game. But here's what I wanted to show you. If you look, I go in, but I try and stay out of range entirely, and I come back out. As soon as I push the wave, I come back out, and that right there was me kind of just defending my teammate, being like, hey, back off a little bit, otherwise I'm going to have to come into this too. But I back off, and I allow myself to, regain real quick, gain some mana back. I try and use ground pound for farming if I can. But let's see, hitting under towers, by the way, this guy is fantastic in solo lane for farming under a turret. You honestly can get pushed under, and it's pretty easy. I haven't had many issues. Right there, you saw I use ground pound to actually recover. So in a second here, you guys will actually see I get a chance to actually push back against them. So I told you guys the attack speed buff, right? The attack speed buff, it's pretty significant, and a lot of people don't realize how good it is. Just opening the menu real quick, sorry. The attack speed buff is pretty significant. So when someone actually goes pretty hardcore on your teammate, you're about to see, they go pretty much all in on him right now, right? So I land that slow. I land that on slow on the Moxie, right? Because he gets too close. Look at this. And you can just beat that person up entirely. Now, I took a lot of return damage, and I walked right into that ball because I checked my menu. But if you look, I actually won that trade. And I'm melee against two ranged characters, and I won that trade just because of the attack speed buff and the armor and magic armor buff. So now you just, like I said, you hang back and you get some more farm. I don't know what was going on with my team. They were all flaming each other. It was crazy. We weren't even losing the game at this point. I think Carter was lagging or something like that. But I was doing fine, so I wasn't worried. I wasn't in the carry position, especially against their team. Their team's kind of good at escaping, but I knew I was going to land some good hooks. I had a good feeling about this game, and it proved to be true. So if you, like I said, you really just hang back with Shank. That's how you do it. You just hang back. As soon as you can get rocket boots, I suggest buying them. I bought them right there as soon as I could. As soon as I hit that, I bought them for many reasons. One, you want to have them for the hook, right? As soon as you get the hook, you want to be able to rocket boost and slide with Bounder. But that's not the only reason. You just want that survivability in lane. Let's say they all lane you, right? If it's a Caprice and a Moxie or something like that, right? Or a Caprice Cassandra, which I think is the craziest lane. It's so hard to deal with, right? If they all lane you want to be able to get out as fast as possible. And that's one of the easiest ways to get out. You rocket boots. It's that simple. I think it's actually further than slide. I think so. I think the distance is actually further than slide. But rocket boots are the most helpful thing for every part. So right now I still haven't hit 6 yet, which is that's all you want to do as Shank. You want to hit 6. It's even more important for you than a lot of other champions, right? So I'm working on hitting 6. Even right here, I'm taking a couple shots from Harrower, and they're not even really hurting me. If you look, my health bar isn't really going down. Like, I know that's free damage in a sense because I'm not hurting him back, but it's not really hurting me, and I'm gonna gain my life back. It's not a huge deal for me. I go for a little ground pound there. Figure, you know what, see what kind of damage I'm doing to Moxie at this point, because Moxie was the one I wanted to grab here. Harrower has a dash. I wanted to grab Moxie. Moxie was the best target in this situation. And you'll see right here, now I'm level 6, right? So I actually start like trying to position myself early. So I'm already trying to position myself. If you look, I'm on the other side of the creeps, trying to get near a low health creep so I can just grab the Moxie and pull him in. Right here, he steps too far, and that's a hook right there. He can't do anything about it. He stepped too far, and he gets pulled in immediately. So that's basically early game play, and that's going to be it for this video, guys. So if you have any questions, leave it in the comment section. Alright, so I'll let this exit with the music. Thanks for watching, guys. See you guys next time.